Texas A&M goes to Death Valley this weekend. LSU coming off a very disappointing loss to Vanderbilt. A&M squeaks out a win versus Arkansas. When you look at A&M versus LSU, what are your thoughts?
Outside of
if you pick LSU, I'm going to throw.
No, I'm not. I am not. I was just going to start this conversation with that. I mean, this is the biggest narrative in the sport this week. Seriously, like we need to talk about this, and I don't think enough people are recognizing this outside of the LSU community. This is a must-win game. You lose all faith and hope in the fan base, and I think you lose a lot of respect nationally if you can't win this game against Texas A&M at home. The one thing, the edge I will give to LSU is that I do think that their defense is still good despite their struggles that they've had over recent weeks. And I think having this game at home is obviously truly beneficial because it is one of the hardest places to win on the road. That being said, though, Texas A&M is on a prolific run offensively. They can do so many different things to hurt you. Even without Le'Veon Moss, Ruben Owens is a tank, and he is playing up to his 5-star billing in his projection. This team is averaging 196.7 rush yards per game. And even though defensively they got cooked by Taylon Green, and I still do not feel truly secure about Texas A&M's defense, especially their run defense that's 84th in EPA per rush allowed in college football this year, they still have some pretty good bodies. I love Cassius Howell. I think Dayon Hayes is underrated. I think Albert Regis is a solid player, and I think DJ Hicks has stepped up at defensive tackle as well. This is a big challenge for LSU, and I think that it is going to be one that, sadly, they probably can't overcome.
I'm saving this for greater detail on Thursday. There's one massive weakness A&M has. You want to hear it?
What is it?
They're horrific on third down offensively.
That is true. They're 39%.
Horrific.
Well, but do you know what they're allowing? 22.7%. So that's kind of the dichotomy of the
inverse is that they're second in the country in third down defense since Elko's basically taken everything over. Now, Concepcion, Bussey, Craver, the tight end play, the running game, I don't think LSU can contain it. Here's the thing. LSU can't score enough to beat them, I don't think. And as much as it would pain me to say, this is the most electric offense in the SEC right now. I think Bama can have the conversation and the argument. The problem with Alabama right now, Joe, is they are currently – sorry, I have my notes here. Alabama is currently 103rd in rushing offense. A&M, on the other hand, well, they're 30th in rushing offense. That's the difference. They can throw it and they can push the ball down the field. And when you back people off and you play coverage, they're going to run the ball right at you with two dynamic running backs, really three dynamic running backs. Smith got going last week. I look at the game versus Arkansas and got to be real with you. If I'm an LSU fan, I'm completely throwing it out of the window. Your quarterback's is the inverse of what Taylon Green is. I got to give Taylon Green a lot of credit. He kept them in that football game. Running the football around, he kept them in that football game. They played coverage. They were like, listen, he's going to go off on us. Garrett Nussmeier will never. And that's just the bottom line. Joe, you said something in the beginning of this that I just want to hit on. Joe Sloan, what are you made of? Cortez Hankton, what are you made of? Garrett Nussmeier, what are you made of? Brian Kelly, what are you made of? You play this game at home and under Brian Kelly, you're 25-2 at night in Death Valley. What are you made of? That's the bottom line here. Because I know our good partners over at FanDuel, and this game is a 2.5-point spread over at FanDuel, favored for Texas A&M. I think that you're going to get an LSU team that's going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at you, and I don't think it's enough. I think that they can limit them because of their secondary. They can limit. But I think Marcel Reed is the biggest X factor in all of this. I don't think that I don't know if they can contain him. I don't know that. The run game and what I saw from Pavia last week and being undisciplined worries the shit out of me. Does Whit Wicks play? This A&M team can do a lot of things offensively. Defensively, Joe, I got to be real with you. I think their secondary is really bad. I got to be real with you. I saw a team defensively last week in their safety room that I'm like, what are we doing? LSU can't test that. They can't get out of their own way. I don't know, buddy. I legitimately don't know. I just don't think that LSU can score enough to stay with them. I don't.
That's the very simple part of this conversation. Texas A&M was put on the ropes somewhat by Arkansas because Taylor Green went kind of full Jaden Daniels and ran past everyone and made a ton of crazy big plays to put up ball. Basically, was their whole offensive production. That's not Garrett Nussmeier. And you don't have anybody on the roster currently that can do something like that.
LSU doesn't?
Well, they can play quarterback right this second. Well, Van Buren might, maybe, but
I mean, hold on. Yeah, just be careful. Be careful with that.
If BK had some real nuts, he would try out Van Buren then unexpectedly to start the game. I mean, if he really wanted to. Well, seriously, that has been a relative issue for Texas A&M is when they face teams with dynamic run games. So if you need to manufacture your run game, put the more athletic quarterback out there, get Caden Durham going a little bit, get Harlan Berry going a little bit, but that's not going to happen.
Well,
that would be awesome.
I think LSU's actually running the football a lot more effectively. Like, for an example,
but it's just not dominantly enough, Like it's not enough to
I gotta push back. I gotta push back on that.
It's gotten better.
Well, it's not been dominant, but Joe, they're averaging 6 yards a carry.
But why aren't you doing it more often?
Because they are inept. And can I be real with you? Hold on. They're not inept. Let me tell you what's actually happening. They're not inept because their quarterback keeps pulling RPOs and throwing and making wrong decisions in RPOs. For an example, there were 19 times in the game versus Vanderbilt where he should have given the ball, where he threw a screen or he threw a slant or he threw a quick hitch, and it was covered. I got to be real with you, and I'm about to say this in about 10 minutes or 2 minutes. Your quarterback doesn't know what he's seeing. They show him quarters, and he's reading the wrong safeties. To be honest with you, they need to stop taking the RPO or take the RPO away from him and just run the ball.
Well, that's what Denbrock did early on, not to a full degree, but they started to really just run the ball with Bryce
right. After
Love.
Miami, they took it away from him pretty much. Yeah. Did they not?
I don't know.
Not all the way, but you get
because I haven't watched the film enough to really know. But when you're watching the games, it does feel like there's more of a deliberate intent of just handing the ball to Price, handing the ball to Love. There's no built-in RPO because he's a young quarterback. He doesn't have the decision making yet. But here we are with Nuss. He still doesn't have the decision making. Yeah, if they were smart, it would be a lot of just straight carries.
Joe, they're running the ball. I'm sorry, they're running the ball for 6 yards a carry the last 2 weeks. They can run the ball. I got to be real with you. A lot of this is on Garrett, and they can't rein him in.
Well, and a lot of it's on Sloan too. The way
a lot of it's on Sloan.
The way that you realistically can stay in a shot of this game is if Sloan goes completely against his initial thoughts on play calling, and they just
take it away from him. Brian Kelly was asked today if he'd get involved in it, and he said no. Truth of the matter is he needs to. I'm not going to say his career's on the line, but your legacy is.
It definitely is. It absolutely is.
I don't think LSU can score enough.
Neither do I.
That's where we have it.